Act 2 begins in the Abyss, aka the Shadow Realm from the movie, but more of a dark and dry wasteland rather than a giant moon. The Guardians are being held in a dark prison cell together, waiting on Thor. We see the theme of love here with the Guardians. Star-Lord looks to his silly and wonderful family and knows that it's missing an important member, Gamora. Nebula suggests that maybe Gamora doesn't want to be found. She's part of a timeline I'd rather forget. My sister is truly gone. Quill says, I don't believe that, and you don't either. If Thor can find his lost love, well, so can I. Nebula says, you're an idiot, Quill. She'll never love you the same way as our Gamora. And Quill snaps, she is our Gamora, no matter what timeline. And we're gonna save her as soon as we get out of here. Nebula just shakes her head and says, wishful thinking, but I hope you're right. Gorr then appears and taunts the Guardians from inside their cell. He says he won't kill them yet, because he wants to see the horror in Thor's eyes once he fails to protect his faithful subjects. Drax is insulted. We are not his subjects. The fat, gorgeous space Viking is our friend. Gorr plays with the Guardians, asking how well they really know their friend Thor, about all the bodies he's buried and the bloody history of Asgard. Gorr even tries to appeal to Star-Lord's humanity by saying he was once like you, a foolish mortal who would die for his loved ones, a prophet who served and studied the gods for all his life for nothing. Trust me, the gods will always fail you, as will Thor. Quill stands up to Gorr and says Thor will come for them. Gorr, with a disgusting grin, says, no, there's more fun to be had. Meanwhile, back with Thor and company, a tiny black necro-wraith can be seen latched around Jane's armor, and she doesn't notice. This is how Gorr attracts the heroes to Omnipotence City, which will be very important later. On the horse ride journey to the city, Thor and Valkyrie trade their opinions about Jane and Sif respectively, as well as their opposing thoughts on Zeus and the old gods, whereas Thor is very ecstatic to visit the city of his icons, while Valkyrie is like, who cares, these old farts better help us. Also, Jane and Sif are finally having some one-on-one time to discuss their relationship, which has always been very frosty and distant due to their similar feelings for Thor. Sif then tries to convince Jane to tell Thor the truth about her cancer, but Jane is still adamant about keeping quiet. During Thor and Val's one-on-one talk, Thor is beyond excited and terrified to express his undying love to Jane once this is all done, but Val reminds him why they're here. They need to stop Gorr, and they do not have time for any one-night stands or stupid little crushes. Thor remembers the mission, but is still determined to fight for his love for Jane. Thor and his friends arrive in Omnipotence City, and in a cute little montage, the four walk around to see the sights of this gorgeous safe haven for the gods. Thor finally feels comfortable around his one true love, and Jane is starting to let her guard down and enjoying this moment of peace with Thor as well. Now it's time for the heroes to meet Zeus and the old gods. Now you can keep the OTT introduction of Zeus from the movie, that was fun, but cut to the chase, please. Thor asks for Zeus's help to raise an army to fight Gorr the God Butcher, and then the other gods roar with laughter at Thor's ridiculous and stupid request. But Zeus silences them with his lightning bolt. He chastises the crowd for laughing at their honored guest, the god of thunder. And Zeus personally promises to raise an army for Thor and his noble warriors on one condition. Zeus says, before we fight like gods, we are going to feast like gods. Come, join us, son of Odin, and your fellow companions, as we give you an Omnipotence City welcome feast. We cut to a monumental and joyous party of the gods. The gods eat, drink, and talk about how awesome and invincible they are before they have to go fight Gorr. At the feast, Thor and Jane attempt to reconcile their relationship, with them drinking giant barrels of ale with the other gods, where even Jane finishes a barrel and happily shouts, "Another!" Thor bellows with laughter as Jane is finally fitting in with their fellow gods. This sequence is very, very sweet, funny in some parts, and it's all about Thor and Jane reconnecting on a deeper level. After seemingly rekindling their relationship, Thor decides to keep this positive energy going by talking to Zeus about their army. However, Zeus gives new meaning to the words, "never meet your heroes." Zeus straight up lied about helping Thor build an army because he is deathly afraid of Gorr. Zeus just laughs it off when he sees the physical and mental similarities between him and Thor. "You are scared as well, my larger-than-life friend. Gorr will never find this place. Stay with us. Eat, drink, be merry for the rest of your lifespan, like a true god." Thor is appalled and sees that Zeus is exactly what will happen to him if he continues to neglect his duties. He says, "I may be afraid of Gorr as well, but at least I'm trying to face him and strike him down like a true god." Zeus simply returns to his drinking and eating, but we can tell that Thor's words really got to him. Thor then storms off to find Jane. We then cut to Valkyrie and Sif, who are still at each other's throats, even at the feast. Sif says, "Innocent people have been kidnapped. Our entire race is being threatened with extinction by a madman, and yet you'd rather drown your sorrows and ignore your duties as queen?" Valkyrie says, "First off, fangirl, my concern is for the safety of New Asgard and all my subjects. And second of all, I don't give a damn about your criticism." Sif says, "As a born citizen of Asgard, I have every right to voice my opinions over the choices of my queen. One who chooses to exploit our rich culture for her own vanity. You're a disgrace to our people." "Well, I'd rather be a disgrace than a ghost. Where exactly have you been, Sif? Where were you when Hela killed your friends? Where were you when Thanos snapped away half the universe? I fought Hela and her army. I fought Thanos. I was there for Thor when he was at his lowest. Where were you, coward?" The trigger word coward has Sif drawing her weapon and challenging Valkyrie to a fight. The gods in the background cheer them on in their sparring match, and Sif eventually wins the tussle by getting Valkyrie to yield with her blade very close to her neck. Sif looks down at Valkyrie and says, "I'm prepared to atone for the mistakes I made for the rest of my life. But what about you? Are you willing to atone, to change, to be a better leader and honor your vow to Thor? There's still time. You have to learn to embrace who you truly are." Brunhilde. Valkyrie's eyes widen at the sound of her real name. Sif and Valkyrie just stare into each other's eyes and are within kissing distance. They almost close that distance until Sif backs off and goes to look for Thor and Jane. Valkyrie is totally lost in thought, like, "Oh boy, I think I like her." We cut to a flustered and angry Thor, who finds Jane and says to her, "Who needs that yellow-bellied drunk Zeus and his useless army? Coming here was a waste of time. Round up the others, Jane. We're leaving." Jane is confused. "Wait, Thor, what happened with Zeus? Like it or not, we need his help to stop Gorr and save your friends." And Thor grabs Jane and pulls her in close. "No, we don't. We have us. We have love. Our love, Jane. And that's enough to save them. To save all of us." Before even stopping to think, Thor gets on his knees and hysterically begins to propose to Jane. Thor is completely blinded by his feelings for Jane, and Jane knows there's only one way to snap him out of this craziness. She tells Thor the truth. "I'm dying, Thor. I have cancer." Thor's denial quickly takes over. "Jane, what are you talking about? You look fine. You have Mjolnir." Unless what? What? Unless what? Thor slowly realizes what's happening to Jane. "Mjolnir, it's not healing you. It's killing you." What? How?
Mjolnir has the ability to empower anyone who wields it with the power of Thor. It can also heal wounds and remove any toxins from your body. So unless you've been using toxins or any other poison in your body,
Jane realizes, my chemotherapy. Mjolnir is sucking the chemo treatments out of me. That's why I'm still dying, and it's getting worse every time I use this hammer, isn't it? Thor is completely distraught along with Jane. But while Jane is still trying to look on the positives and try to reassure Thor that everything will be okay, Thor is lost. Zeus being a cowardly fraud, the endless depression, his dead family members and friends, failing as a king, Thanos, Tony's death, and now this. Jane, the love of his life, is dying and there is nothing he can do to stop it. Well, this hurts. Then, boom! Gorr's necro monsters bust through the walls of Omnipotence City and start attacking the gods at the banquet. We see legendary heroes, gods, and legends all get maimed and killed by Gorr and his necro beast. Thor realizes that they've been followed. Jane, Valkyrie, Sif, all of them jump into action and hold back the beast and try to interrogate Gorr on where the Guardians are being kept. But Thor simply watches all of this destruction happen, still in shock about Jane's illness. While Zeus tries to crawl and sneak away, Gorr finds him and stabs him in the stomach, causing the other gods to flee in terror. Before Gorr can overpower them completely, Thor has had enough and unleashes the full might of Stormbreaker to break up the fight. The entire room goes silent as the gods are in awe at the full might of the true god of thunder. Thor comes face to face with Gorr, unafraid and defiant in the face of evil like the Thor of old. But something's different. Thor says,
I know why you hate the gods, Gorr. You lost someone you loved because of them, correct? Well, so did I. Many times over.
Gorr hisses, you know nothing of loss.
I know what it's like to lose all that you are and never get it back. I have all the power and courage and wisdom of a god, and I still make every mistake and fail the ones I love. This life, this cursed life as the god of thunder, has given me nothing but endless pain and heartbreak. So, let me help you. Take us to where you've kept my friends, the Guardians. They have nothing to do with this. Ensure their safety, and I will help you achieve your goal. Every god in this world will die.
Gorr says he should just kill them all here, save him the trouble. But he has a much grander plan in store for the gods. Gorr plays along and says, take my hand, Odin's son, and you will find your friends. Use the Bifrost. Gorr imprints the location of the abyss into Thor's mind using the Necro Sword. Gorr vanishes, and before Thor can use Stormbreaker, Jane grabs Thor and yells, what the hell are you doing? Whose side are you on? Thor says,
I'm on your side, Jane. I always have been.
Valkyrie jumps in, really? Because it looks like you just made a deal with the maniac who took your friends and wants to kill us all, including you.
You have my word. No harm will come to the Guardians, all the citizens of New Asgard.
Sif says, Thor, what are you plotting?
Just trust me.
Thor summons the Bifrost, and the four heroes teleport to the abyss. Meanwhile, a mortally wounded Zeus looks upon his ruined kingdom, seeing most of his friends slaughtered, and the king of the gods is fuming. In the abyss, Gorr is expecting them. The heroes are captured and forced to listen to him. Gorr explains he was never going to harm the Guardians since they're not gods. They were just the bait to bring Thor and the Bifrost. After a few scare tactics, Gorr gives his full backstory to Thor and his friends. In a flashback, Gorr once had a wife named Ara and a daughter named Agra. Gorr was once a prophet who believed and prayed that gods would always protect them. But his prayers weren't answered when an attack from a rival planet caused his wife to be killed in the ensuing chaos. The gods never came when his daughter passed away from starvation and dehydration after their village was lost. All alone, Gorr wandered through a dry desert until he found two warriors of light and darkness fighting in the distance. Gorr recognizes the warrior of light as Rapu the Almighty, his own god. For once Gorr had hope in his eyes. His god had answered his prayers and finally come to rescue him. Rapu looked at Gorr like he was a gnat and swatted him away. "Me, foolish mortal! I must battle with this dark rogue, and then I will destroy his necrosword and take his head as my trophy." Rapu mortally wounds the dark demigod, who drops the necrosword. Gorr couldn't believe his eyes. The gods he worshipped and learned about were real, and they never came for him until it was too late. Suddenly, a dark, mysterious voice whispers to Gorr like the devil in his ear. He hisses, "You know the truth. Gods are selfish bastards who don't care about their subjects, who blindly worship them. They live only to battle, to murder, to conquer. And for that, they must die. They all must die. We will kill the gods. Take my sword. Become one with me." Gorr takes the necrosword and kills Rapu instantly. It's revealed that the necrosword, the voice whispering in Gorr's ear, is a living, symbiotic alien known as All Black, who in the comics was in fact the first ever symbiote made by the Dark Lord of the Abyss, Null. Though we don't see Null yet, his name has only been dropped in Act 1 as a theory from Thor. The symbiote sword begins to latch onto Gorr's body like the Venom symbiote, corrupting his body, mind, and imbuing him with even more hatred and strength to kill gods. And thus he became the symbiotic executioner, a servant of Null, Lord of the Abyss, Gorr, the God Butcher. As Gorr finishes his backstory, Gorr knows his days are numbered as a vessel for All Black, the necrosword. With the sword slowly corrupting his mind and destroying his body, he knows he doesn't have long. But he won't let this life go to waste. Before he dies, Gorr plans to reach Eternity's realm, an astral plane that exists an all-powerful celestial force known as Eternity that can grant one wish to anyone who finds it first. With his wish, Gorr will eradicate all gods in this universe and end his quest as the God Butcher. But to open the path of eternity, he will need the power of the Bifrost. Not the axe, he just needs the Bifrost. That's why he needs Thor. Thor, upon hearing this crazy plan, tries to appeal his own wish and maybe work out a compromise. After all, Eternity's wish could save Jane and remove her cancer. However, Jane is nothing like Thor, as she recklessly lunges at Gorr and a battle ensues between the two. Valkyrie and Sif are occupied on fighting more necro beasts, and they're actually kind of working together. It's strange, but good. As the Guardians join in the fight against the beast, Jane is furiously trying to blast Gorr to Kingdom Come with Mjolnir. Thor actually tries to break up this fight, but he doesn't want to harm Jane. Thor, for once, is trying to make peace with his enemy Gorr, but Jane is ruining it by swinging like a mad woman. Jane screams to Gorr, "I won't let you take this away from me," referring to her mighty Thor transformation. But Gorr uses Jane's carelessness to his advantage and stabs her in the leg with the necrosword. Jane can feel her godlike strength sapping away and her cancer symptoms returning. Thor is horrified. He begs for Gorr to stop, but Gorr has had enough, and he threatens to kill Jane and Thor's friends right in front of him until the God of Thunder drops to his knees and drops Stormbreaker before Gorr's feet.
Enough! Stormbreaker is yours. The Bifrost is yours. I alone will help you reach eternity. Please, spare the lives of Jane Foster, my friends, and the citizens of New Asgard, but every other god in this universe, including me. They will all perish.
Valkyrie and Sif can't believe what they're hearing. The Guardians in New Asgard are safe, but Thor is allowing universal genocide on the gods. The heroes try to attack Gorr before it's too late, but Thor quickly summons the Bifrost to send Jane and all his friends back to New Asgard. And before they all disappear, Thor says with tears in his eyes,
"Forgive me, Jane."
Gorr smiles as the God of Thunder's loyalty is secured. Thor takes Gorr's hand in servitude and offers Stormbreaker with this personal vow.
"I give this axe to the one known as Gorr. May he use its power to its fullest."
Gorr is now worthy to use Stormbreaker.
"At last, the Bifrost is mine. I shall honor your wishes, Odin's son. Come, eternity awaits."